Are your curtains making your home look bad? Many people don't realize small mistakes can ruin the whole look of a room. Curtains do more than cover windows. They make a space feel bigger, brighter, and more stylish. But the wrong height, length, or color can make everything look off. The good news? These mistakes are easy to fix. In this video, we'll show you 7 common curtain mistakes and how to fix them fast. Stay with us, because you might be making the first mistake right now. Mistake 1. Hanging curtains too low. If your curtains are hanging too low, they could be making your room look smaller than it really is. Many people install their curtain rods just above the window frame, thinking it's the right spot. But this small mistake can make your ceilings feel lower and your space feel cramped. Curtains are not just for covering windows. They play a big role in how your room looks and feels. When they are placed too low, they cut off the height of the room, making everything seem shorter. The difference is huge when you see it the right way. This is one of the easiest mistakes to fix. Just a simple adjustment can change everything. But even if you hang them at the right height, there's another mistake that could completely ruin the look of your curtains. And it's something you probably don't even realize you're doing. Let's talk about that next. Mistake 2. Using the wrong curtain length. The length of your curtains can make or break the look of your room. Many people hang curtains that are too short, thinking it won't make a big difference. But short curtains can make your windows look unfinished and your space feel smaller. On the other hand, curtains that are too long can bunch up on the floor and look messy. The right length is important for a clean and stylish look. Even if you get the length right, there's another mistake that can completely change the way your curtains look. And it has nothing to do with size, it's all about the fabric. Let's talk about that next. Mistake 3. Choosing the wrong fabric. The fabric of your curtains can change the whole feel of a room. Some people pick heavy, thick fabrics that block too much light, making the space feel dark and closed in. Others choose thin, low-quality fabrics that look cheap and don't hang well. The right fabric makes a big difference. Sheer curtains can brighten a room and make it feel airy, while thicker fabrics add warmth and privacy. Choosing the wrong material can throw off your entire decor. But even if you pick the perfect fabric, there's another mistake that can ruin everything. And it's one that most people don't even notice until it's too late. Let's talk about that next. Mistake 4. Not considering curtain width. Curtains that are too narrow can make your windows look small and tight. Many people buy curtains that only cover the window, but this is a big mistake. When curtains don't have enough width, they can't drape properly and look flat. The right width makes your windows look bigger and more stylish. Curtains should extend beyond the window frame to create a fuller and more balanced look. This also allows more natural light to come in when the curtains are open. And it's not about the curtains, it's about what's holding them up. Let's talk about that next. Mistake 5. Ignoring curtain hardware. Curtain rods and hooks may seem small, but they make a big difference. Many people use cheap or mismatched rods that don't match the style of their room. This can make even the best curtains look out of place. A thin, weak rod can also bend over time, making the curtains hang unevenly. The right curtain hardware makes your setup look neat and stylish. Strong rods and well-designed hooks help the curtains glide smoothly and stay in place. Even if you have the perfect curtains and the right hardware, there's still another mistake that can make your space look dull. And it's something most people don't think about when hanging their curtains. Let's talk about that next. Mistake 6. Not layering curtains for depth. If your curtains look flat or plain, it might be because they are missing layers. Many people hang just one set of curtains and wonder why their room looks dull. Layering adds depth and makes the space feel more stylish. A simple way to do this is by pairing sheer curtains with heavier drapes. The sheer layer lets in soft light during the day, while the thicker curtains provide privacy at night. You can also add a valance or decorative tiebacks for an extra touch of elegance. Even if your curtains are layered perfectly, there's still one more mistake that can throw off your whole room. And it's something that affects the entire color scheme. Let's talk about that next. Mistake 7. Choosing the wrong curtain color. The color of your curtains can change the whole mood of your room. Many people pick colors that don't match their walls or furniture, making the space feel unbalanced. Curtains that are too dark can make a room feel heavy and small, while curtains that are too light may not stand out at all. The right color should blend well with your decor and create a cozy, stylish feel. Neutral shades work well in most spaces, while bold colors can add a pop of personality. But now that you know these 7 common mistakes, you can easily fix them and transform your space with the perfect curtains. Now you know the 7 biggest curtain mistakes and how to fix them fast. Small changes can make a big difference in how your home looks and feels. Curtains are more than just decor, they can add style, light, and warmth to your space. So, check your curtains and see if you need to make any changes. find these tips helpful? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more home decor tips, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video. Don't let these mistakes ruin your home. Fix them today.